what are the reasons not to get a doctorate of business administration? So you should really think that the first thing is that the returns on your education are just far too long. It is not really rational in any sort of way. It's going to take you probably about a decade to recoup the cost of pursuing a doctorate in business administration. And so here's the thing. It's really relative to where you currently stand. So if your current salary, doesn't matter where you are in the world, if your current salary is like, if it's $30,000 a year, then so doing a doctorate might actually benefit you tremendously. So, and I'm talking like American dollars, right? So it might benefit you tremendously if you can actually get into a program, but that means that you've already did an MBA or, you did your undergrad in business administration. So it's highly unlikely that you're actually going to be a person that's making $30,000 a year across the world. Most of the people are going to be making quite a bit more than that, I would guess, or have the potential to make quite a bit more than that, just based on, you're in demand, right? If you've done an MBA or if you've done an undergraduate in business administration or if you have an economics degree or sociology degree, well, sociology, I'm not picking on you, but the salaries are lower. I did a joint degree with sociology and engineering. So, if you're an engineer, right, so you're going to be probably making more than that. You're just in pretty good demand around the world. Doesn't matter where you are, you're in pretty good demand. So if that's the case, but if you're like any professional, that's the people that are looking for doing a PhD or a doctorate in business administration, right? You're probably doing pretty well as it is, right? So you're going to be making at least $50,000 American per year, whether you're in the US or whether you are in Canada or, the UK or wherever. It's a high cost, right, to actually go. You're going to get a bump up, right? So if you look at the salaries, I do have a video about that where you can actually look at the AACSB accreditation salaries of business school professors. And generally you can expect, in the US, it's different all around the world, but in the US, in Canada and Australia and, Germany, you're probably looking at, in sort of comparative terms, you're looking at, at about $100,000 US or more. But it takes a long time to actually get to that stage. You're probably looking at, on average, at most schools now, you're looking at 5-6 years. Depending on where you are, sometimes it's 3, which is really crazy. But, in the UK, I know that it's 3 to do your PhD, but generally those people have to continuously if they want to keep pushing forward and actually get a business school professor job, they actually have to do postdocs and find different positions and things like that, because it's just physically impossible unless you're the most outstanding. And I do know that there are a couple of people in the world, before you sort of mention it, and they are truly outstanding people that they've gone through within 3 years. Most people can't do that. If you're anything like me, and I'm just kind of a buffoon, you're going to take a lot longer than that. So, okay, number 2, and by the way, then it's going to get costly, right? So number 2, you're going to have to work long hours. So if you're thinking of a PhD is just for horsing around, you have this sort of movie picture in your mind of what a PhD is, that you're just slacking off and you're smoking dope and all that kind of stuff all the time. You're so far off from reality. You're going to have to work much harder now in a PhD, or if you do your doctorate in business administration, than when you would if you're actually in the working world. And I know lots of people are going to be like, oh, that's not true, but it is true. If you're going to perform at the level that you are going to be world class, you're going to have to work long hours and do a pretty good job and work a long time and put in a lot of work. So that's all I'm sort of pointing it out. And you talk to anybody that's world class, they're putting in crazy hours. I guarantee it. Doesn't matter what field you're in, by the way, you're going to be putting in crazy hours to do world class. If you're a lawnmower and that's your job, is to mow lawns, and you're out there, you're putting in crazy hours to perform at the level of world class within your league. Same within business administration. And the one thing that is, everybody knows what your performance level is. So you can see what it is based on the number of publications that you have. And your performance level dictates how much you're going to make in the long run. So if you're completely happy and you want to sort of just get out there and just teach, then, getting a PhD is probably not really worth your time. But if you want to go in the track where you're doing research and you're pushing forward and, you're part of the game, then you're going to have to work long hours. Number 3. So guess what? You're probably going to be emotional and you're probably going to cry. You're probably going to get angry at somebody at least several times within your PhD program. I don't know a single person that has not done this, unless they're just crazy for whatever reason. They're just like, Zen. Most people are going to have a very emotional time. And that's really, so this is a symptom of that. There's a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity throughout the process. You go through all these crazy life changes and you're working by yourself and you're kind of just pushing forward. And it's all up to you, and you know that it's all up to you, but you don't know how to do it. And, it's just really an emotional kind of crazy trip. So a lot of people go through a lot of, crying and all that kind of stuff. So part of the whole this YouTube videos, by the way, is me trying to get you to know that there's other people in the world, that we're all struggling through this. Is part of hopefully me giving back as much as you can, that I do go through all this kind of crazy stuff as well. Everybody goes through this, and I'm trying to sort of break down the barriers that, all the BS barriers that you have to be sort of like this superhuman person to do this kind of stuff. That's BS. And we all go through all of these kind of emotional kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to be as open and honest as I possibly can to share some of these insights with you before you even try to do a PhD. And for those of you who are actually pursuing a doctorate of some sort, that they know that, there's real people out there doing real things, and we have real emotions, and we struggle with this kind of stuff. So number 4, you're going to have to spend a lot of time alone when you do a PhD in business administration or doctorate in business administration. When I say alone, I mean alone. You're probably not going to see your family. You're not going to be by your coworkers. If you are, then your coworkers will have to be awfully quiet because you're studying. It's work, right? It's like going to law school. You're studying, you're doing work. It's going to med school. You're studying, you're doing work. And a lot of people actually experience mental health issues because of this. And by the way, I have a video about that. And if you do have any sort of mental health issues right now, please do go get some help. It's going to really, really help you out in the long run. Go see a counselor. If you're really feeling down and out at this current moment, do call somebody up. Really, it's going to help you out in a lot of different ways. So we all go through these kind of crazy, weird mental health issues, and you do have this sort of exploration of yourself. It's called life, right? At the end of the day, you do go through all this kind of stuff, but it's probably a little bit more severe when you're kind of in your own head and thinking about these kind of things and you're alone. There is this thing, and I've been learning all about this kind of stuff, but there's this like wandering thoughts kind of idea that a lot of sort of negative thoughts happen because you're thinking, your mind is wandering in different ways. So yeah, that's just part of it. Unfortunately, is to go through these kind of emotional sort of down things. So just know that when you're feeling down, go get something to eat right away, and B, if you're feeling really dumpy and you're not in the zone and you're just feeling really dumpy, just go for a walk, go get out there, go do something, go find a friend. That can really help you out and sort of help you with your mental health stuff. Number 5, right? If you currently feel successful in your current job, right? So I know some of you have MBAs, or, that you're an economist or whatever, you're watching these videos, and you feel very successful and you're thinking of doing a PhD, you are going to feel, as soon as you do that, everybody goes through this, you're going to be knocked down a bunch of pegs. You are going to be at the bottom of the barrel and you're going to feel like nobody. Everybody goes through this. You're just part of you're a PhD student at that moment. You have absolutely no status in academia. You have absolutely no status in industry because you're no longer that person, right? So you just have to deal with it. And that component of it, you're going to feel that you are, you're not really all that successful, but it's a building process, right? So here's the really fun thing. It truly is this building process that you just go one step at a time. So you start off at the bottom and nobody knows who you are. And for the first couple of years, nobody's going to know who you are. You're really a nobody. And then maybe a couple of people might know who you are in your 3rd year, maybe a few more in your 4th year. And then a couple of, you'll go through when you go in the job market, you'll be and half a dozen people that are going to know who you are, and they're going to say, oh, that's kind of interesting. But then as you keep going and become a full professor, the whole criteria, by the way, to become a full professor, if you work your way up, or an eminent, whatever you call it, professor, all these endowed chairs and all that kind of stuff, it's just basically, do a lot of people know you? At the end of the day, it's a status game. And if a lot of people know you around the world, and lots of people can say, oh, yeah, that's a cool person, then you've won. And so that you can imagine that's exactly what it is. And then to go to, if you're at Harvard Business School, for example, and you're a full professor and professor, and then lots and lots and lots of people know who you are. It's really just a status game at the end of the day. It's just about who knows you. And that's really what you're building. You start off at the bottom, nobody knows you, absolutely nobody, and then you kind of work your way up. And okay, so the sixth thing, and I think I'm just going to leave it at this, is, if you do a doctorate in business administration or a PhD in business administration, it's going to really affect your life choices, your family life choices. So just be well aware of that. If you're doing this to grow a family or something like that, I'm not saying that is, not a bad idea, but it's also is a tough idea, because the culture right now, and there's some research out, if you could look at Catherine Kellogg, Kate Kellogg at MIT. She does some really cool work within the medical profession of changing norms within physicians, where there was kind of like there used to be this kind of Iron Man. And this is very true within academia as well, as this Iron Man, where it's all about how many hours you put in, how much work you put in. There's still this kind of jockeying that happens. You talk about, oh, I worked this many hours and blah, 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 right? Like all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's just this like competitive nature that people get. But anyways, so there is this, the Iron Man is the person that works a long time. And then there's this other sort of cultural aspect that, there is people that are doing dual careers and they want a family and they want to balance all that kind of stuff. And so you have to sort of balance that. And personally, I'm probably in this latter camp, that I do have a family, and my wife is a professional, very successful professional. And we're trying to balance things. So my view is yes, one person can be highly optimized within this particular perspective as the Iron Man, right? Like they could be super optimized. They can have all the family support and everybody, you're working and everybody's doing all that kind of stuff. But as a family unit, and I'm talking about a family unit, you're probably likely more going to be optimized if you sort of play the long game and everybody makes some sacrifices and everybody does well at the same time. And we kind of rise up as a family unit, and you become a successful family rather than one person being the sort of successful person. It's just a way of sort of optimizing and doing things. I'm an engineer, right? I think about that kind of stuff, optimization research. And I was trying to figure out a way to actually frame this that actually makes a lot of sense. And I think that makes sense to me, is that we're trying to optimize our family unit rather than one single person. So I'm the one single person is going to, and that would be me, right? Being the traditional way. I'm going to have to make sacrifices, pick up family people and, take the dog to the vet and all that kind of stuff. Whereas, before it was sort of arranged. And this is true across a lot of different sort of professional industries, the legal industry, wherever it is. There's kind of a cultural change that's happening right now where we have that sort of Iron Man, and it's clashing with the, people that want to prioritize sort of the family unit more and grow that way. And both of them are equally, I'm not putting any sort of moral values in any of them. They're both equally awesome. And it's just the way you play the game at the end of the day, this game called life. So anyways, hopefully you like that. And, I forgot to mention with the life choices is that, so because a PhD is a really long thing, and you're usually doing it right when you are, at that age where everybody has kids and stuff like that, there is going to be a real push towards you not to have children. And it's, it has nothing to do with that. There is a kind of sort of this cultural milieu to do that. Or, there's also your mental idea of like, oh, I should push to get this done to get tenure and, to get a PhD and then get tenure and all that kind of stuff. You keep pushing it back, and pretty soon lots of people have children really old, compared to the rest of the sort of world, and well beyond what everybody else is in this particular career. And so just be well aware of that is a critical thing to think about in terms of prioritizing your life and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, take care. Hopefully you like this video. Give me a thumbs up if you do, and do subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, take care. Bye.